All right, we've been talking about the excessive heat warning yesterday. We have another one today. It's going to be hot through the weekend. But let's face it, it's going to be hot in Memphis throughout the summer. We know different ways to take care of ourselves, take care of our kids. What about our pets? We got to take care of them too. Let's bring in an expert to help us with that. We got Dr. Mondrian Contreras joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. It says, Dr. Contreras, that you are a pumpkin veterinary expert. What does that mean? Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, just that means that I give educational talks and I speak really about taking care of pets, and pumpkin pet insurance is just the means for which I do it by.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about some of the warning signs that we can see when we're in this heat, we're with our dogs, perhaps cats as well, other pets, and something's not right. What kind of symptoms and signs are out there?
Oh yeah. So first of all, just so owners understand, heat stroke is when basically the body temperature is elevated. Pets' temperatures are considered elevated when they exceed about 103 degrees. In practice, though, typically, again, heat stroke is really when temperatures are about 106, which usually is associated with high external environmental heat without previous signs of illness. Again, some of the things that can cause heat stroke, okay, many of these causes are things like leaving a dog in the car on a hot day, leaving dogs outside unattended, excessive exercise on a hot day, with dogs who are predisposed at developing heat stroke. And so some predisposing factors for dogs that develop heat stroke are things like brachiocephalic, smush-baked dog, obesity, tracheal collapse, the narrowing of the windpipe, and arthritis. And so those are some of the things that, that we can see as far as dogs with heat stroke. What makes dogs more susceptible kind of to heat stroke, though, is, again, dogs don't really have an efficient way of cooling themselves. All right, they don't sweat like humans do, and thus pets pant to cool themselves. Also, brachiocephalic breeds like our bulldogs, French English boxers, Boston Terriers, Pekingese, pugs, Lhasa Apsos have a higher risk, due to their anatomy. All right, and so they have these shorter nose and narrow nares and things like that, elongated soft palates, and smaller diameter tracheas, and so this can make breathing more difficult. And to get directly, yes, to your question. Some of the signs that we see of heat stroke, which is so important, is things like excessive panting. Okay, so very red gums, all right, dry gums, again, excessive drooling. It gets really, really thick. All right, and so increased heart rate, muscle tremors, and then we see gastrointestinal signs. We see things like vomiting, diarrhea, black tarry stool called melena, and some of these things can also be they can be disoriented.
That's interesting. Wow, you went through a lot there. How do we prevent heat stroke? And before you answer that, when you go through those signs that you just mentioned, doctor, what do we do? Like, how do we help them? How do we treat some of those symptoms?
Oh, excellent question. So again, if you suspect your dog is having, heat stroke, all right, suffering from heat stroke, again, take them to your veterinarian or to an emergency veterinary hospital right away. Once there, we can try to cool them down by pouring water on them and allowing basically to blow a fan on them to create convective cooling. Water should be cool, but not cold, all right? Because we don't actually want to lower their temperatures too quickly, okay? And this can cause actually perfusion issues and vasoconstriction. So again, we can use a cool towel also, can be used on dogs to cool them down, but towels should be changed frequently so as not to trap heat. Again, other options include applying alcohol to the foot pads. This can help actually dilate pores to increase perspiration. Again, in the hospital, we use IV fluids, we use sedatives and oxygen to help as well. And we wrap them also in ice packs to gradually lower our pet's temperature. Again, if your dog gets sick or hurt and needs to be seen to a vet, the cost of care can get expensive. A pet insurance plan is one way to help you afford veterinary care for your pet's needs. Pet insurance plans also typically cover unexpected accidents and illnesses and then reimburse you for a portion of your eligible veterinary expenses. And so Some of the ways, again, that we can do to help prevent heat stroke are, again, a good rule of thumb is do not walk your dog during the hottest time of the day. Instead, try to walk your pet in the early morning and the late evenings to help prevent exposure to extreme temperatures. Make sure to always have water available for you and your pet anywhere you go. Do not leave your pet unattended outside in your car, and understand your pet's breed risks, okay? Brachycephalic, large breed dogs that we talked about, and predisposing factors include things like obesity, anxiety, arthritis, and cancer. That might put them at a greater risk, all right, for developing heat stroke. And be sure to monitor overactivity. Okay, at dog parks, they can get extremely excited, interacting with other pups, possibly be unattended for a minute, and thus develop heat stroke.
Some of the things that we're saying on the air, Dr. Contreras, is if you see your dog that, your dog looks kind of overheated, in addition to having water there, put maybe a cold towel or have a cold surface that it can lay on instead of putting something over it, because if you put something over some dogs, it can trap the heat. Is that a good rule of thumb? And what else can we do as prevention methods?
Excellent, excellent. Exactly. So again, heat stroke is not always obvious, okay? And so again, it can be life-threatening if not addressed promptly. Again, if you know the risk factors for, again, and implement precautions like these, like the cool towels, also just cooling with cool water, not cold water. Again, these are some small but things that we can help to recognize to help keep them. These small steps will help prevent the chances of your dog developing heat stroke. However, it's important that you know the signs of heat stroke, okay? And so again, the red gums, the panting, the thick, mucus, drooling, again, and what to do in emergency. And really that's to call your veterinarian and knowing where the closest emergency veterinarian is located in case your primary veterinarian is closed. Again, despite these efforts, it really only takes minutes for dogs to develop heat stroke or seconds for them to have severe blistering sores on their foot pads on the hot pavement, okay? And so while we never want to think, again, of our pets of getting hurt or sick like this, chances are they'll face unexpected accidents or illness at some point in their life. An accident or illness, if they do happen, having pet insurance plan in place can really help give you a peace of mind knowing that it's easier to protect your pet's health when it matters most.
Okay, Dr. Mondrian Contreras, we appreciate you. Great tips, great advice, and great suggestions on ways to keep your pet safe this hot summer. Thanks very much.
I appreciate you guys having me.